G'day jabronis, it is the Verd back with you again, and yes, I am here for a team builder and battle and all that good shit. It's been a while. It has definitely been a while, but it's my first team builder for ages. This was for the Duel Society league that I'm in. I was up against Andrew, week 1, Muse the best. I think he's changed his team name. It's something very convoluted. It'll probably be up on the screen, but I just can't remember it at this point in time, so it's whatever. But basically, this is going to be like the team builder. I may upload the team builder and the battle separately if I'm feeling it, but yeah. So, this matchup was a very interesting one, to say the least. Because we were both allowed an Uber, well, Megaladius isn't always classified as an Uber, but it's whatever. It was always going to be tough, and, you know, he had a really offensive team, a few things that really broke my, I guess, stall, if you may, so I had to really kind of think outside the box. I had initially built a team with Bird, and I was going to post it. We did like a live team builder for an hour and a half, and what I'm going to do in the future, because I was on my old computer, I'm on a new computer now, which is it's the best. I'm going to do a video just on the computer, I think. But with the video with Burb, that was on my old computer, which is basically conked itself. So in the future, I'll be doing a live team builder with Bird to begin with, so you get like a basic view of the team. Then another video where I do a mock battle against somebody, and then show the updated team after the mock battle. So you get like all these different elements now for my prep process, so you can understand how, you know, things have changed, or how I take an initial idea and take it further. Because I feel when it comes to me drafting the team, you guys don't really care about a draft recap. I think what you guys care about more is the process I take into creating the team and then battling and all that jazz. So that's what I'm kind of doing from now on. So this week it won't happen, but next week it will happen. Just breaking down this team super quickly. I don't want to go into too much detail. I may even jump into the battle straight after this. We'll see, because I don't want to go into too much. But Mega Sableye, really good mod in this matchup. Obviously Coco can come in. I'm running Rock Tomb. It was a really good idea by Bird because it allows me to force the Weavile out, and if he goes into Coco or into T-Flame, well, T-Flame obviously gets absolutely blown away by Rock Tomb, but if he goes into Coco, it slows it down, which means if I go, you know, hard into Heatran or Gliscor, I will then probably outspeed the Coco, so that's really nice. Foul Play is there just for setup. Mainly, this is the main Weavile check, more or less. It also checks Scissor to an extent. Toxic's just there for passive. I found Toxic more useful than Willow in this matchup. Again, Talonflame's a thing. And Recover just for, you know, GP. It's a very standard kind of Sableye set, barring the Rock Tomb, but it honestly just gets the job done against this team. It's just my best, like, physical wall. But, two more specially bulky mod now. We have Gliscor here. Rocking a kind of Spadef, kind of offensive set. It's a bit of both. Basically, it's an interesting moveset because, as you can see, this set is walled by Mismagius. But the way I see it is that, you know, I'm packing Sableye, I'm packing a Alolan Persian, you know, to an extent there's Heatran and Florges there, so Mismagius, I can wear that thing down and get rid of it, and then once Mismagius and Weavile are out of the way, this Gliscor set can be really annoying for his team. Earthquake just off the bat is so good, and then Facade as well. Just especially for the Latias, I was contemplating between Ice Fang and Facade, and it turns out Facade does more, so that's just wicked. And overall, like, just you can SD up, Roost. It's a really nice Coco wall. Obviously, Coco can HP Ice, but I'm EV to take it, barring maybe a spec set like E-Belt has the smallest % chance to knock me out. But with this speed tier, I am outspeeding Nidoqueen, so I can always fire off an Earthquake beforehand. And if I'm fearing the Sugar Berry, I can always fire off a Facade first to get the chip that I need to potentially put in range like a Alolan Persian or Heatran or even Deoxys to an extent. So yeah, pretty straightforward set, I feel. Alolan Persian is my main pivot for this team. Scarfed because, you know, Coco's a thing, I guess, and also is T-Flame. It's actually Scarfed as well to outspeed Cloyster after a Shell Smash. Thunderbolt's awesome because obviously if Coco's setting up Electric Terrain, then I can just drop T-Bolts like they're nothing. Oko's T-Flame, Oko's Cloyster in Electric Terrain, obviously. Without it, not so much. Snarl is there for things like Sub Mismagius, Sub Megaladi, just kind of countering those things. And also, it's really nice later in the game potentially to Snarl and lower a special attack and then allow, you know, maybe Gliscor to come in and set up. And Foul Play is mainly there for the setup sweepers again, like the Scissors and whatnot. Contemplated running Technician over Fur Coat, but I prefer Fur Coat for that Scissor scenario where I can take the Bullet Punch then just knock it straight out. But granted, Gliscor kind of walls Scizor, and this definitely walls it too. It's an offensive Heatran, but it's still enough to where I feel he won't bring Scizor. I just have 3 of the best checks of Scizor in the game. Like, why would you bring Scizor ever to this matchup? It just doesn't make sense. But Heatran is a really fun set this week. So, it's Dragonium Z with Dragon Pulse, basically designed to kind of lure in the Latias, because Alomomola against my team is horrible as well. It's just really bad. For him especially, and I just feel like, you know, Heatran was such a good lure for the Latias, because my basic plan is I'll Magma Storm the Latias as it comes in, then I'll double out into my Alolan Persian, or maybe my Florges on that next turn, most likely Alolan Persian, because I expect the Lati to either go for Calm Mind, or maybe for Earthquake, something like that, to kind of scout, and I can scout to see if it has Calm Mind. And if it does, then awesome, you know, I can kind of play around that, but the basic plan is that after 2 Magma Storm hits and the residual, Latias potentially will be in range of Dragonium Z Dragon Pulse. Now this is like max HP, so the issues obviously with this, the main issue being that it could just click Roost. So the plan would be to probably taunt it on that turn, Dragon Pulse it once, and then Dragonium Z. The main premise of this Heatran set is to ascertain whether he has the Calm Mind or not, and if he does, try to nullify it with Taunt as soon as possible. So even like instead of Magma Storming, like knowing Light is going to come in, clicking Taunt, and then proceeding maybe on that turn to fire off the Dragonium Z could be really, really nice. Potentially, it's also nice to hit other things on the team, like just getting a good amount of damage off is great, and Protect is there because it lets me scout other moves, like somebody's choice locked in, but also for that Hitmonlee, if it does try and come in and do shenanigans, I can shut that down too. And it's also there for Talonflame because I don't want to get natural gifted, basically. But yeah, moving on to probably the mon that I'm most hyped to use in this matchup, like totally most hyped to use in general, is this Florges. It's just a really, really solid set. So basically, it's offensive because I was talking with Gypsy about the team, and I said to him, like, oh, you know, Chansey was cool and all, but it felt so passive, and I feel like Florges, you know, with the right moveset can really open his team up, and this is the moveset that I felt was best. So Moonblast is incredibly spammable against his team. Like I said, it's not really good to bring Sizzle to this matchup, so I figure he's not going to do it, and even if he does, it's not as if I don't have, you know, Alolan Vena, I don't like Alolan Vena. It's not like I don't have Heatran, Gliscor, and Mega Sableye to check a Sizzle. So, in that regard, I'm not really too worried. Does that make sense? And then the Psychic, obviously, is for the Nidoqueen. I have the Kebby Berry because I am designed to actually outspeed Timid Cloyster, but I also have this speed stat because it outspeeds Modest Nidoqueen. So I can go for 2 Psychics and knock that out. He can't knock me out with the Sludge Wave. So, that's really nice. And you might see the nice little tech there, which is Nature Power, which under electric terrain becomes Thunderbolt. Now this is here because Moonblast into Nature Power Thunderbolt OHKOs a Alomomola, and Nature Power Thunderbolt automatically OHKOs a Talonflame. So that's basically why it's there, to catch him off guard, because I feel like T-Flame and Aloe are 2 of his better switch-ins to Florges if he does bring Nidoqueen, so being able to catch those is huge. Now, I would say the biggest threat to his team, to my team, is Weavile, and then maybe Mega Latias, and if Weavile ends up going down or is weakened, then the stage is set for this guy. Worst Uber for Deoxys defense. So, initially I was running like a Spike Stack set, but I found that like default Latias was annoying. I was talking with Gypsy, like, how can I optimize this thing to be super frustrating for my opponent? And we came up with this gem of a set, which is just so good. Like, its pressure is so underrated, you don't realize how bad it is. Like, it's so good on Deoxys. So, Signal Beam is there because it covers Mega Lati as well as the Weavile. It does hit Scizor as well, but again, I just don't see Scizor coming. And if it does, I can just weaken it to the point where Signal Beam knocks it out. Calm Mind is there because, like, why not? And Recover. The basic premise is that this can 1v1 Mega Lati. If I Calm Mind first, it's down to who can crit first. But also, like, it's in my favor that he's going to run out of PP in his main attacking move being Dragon Pulse. Then he will be able to crit me and knock me out because of pressure. So I really wanted to go with this. The speed tier again is outspeeding Scizor in case I need to go for the Signal Beam, and also the Modest Nidoqueen again, so I can just drop that thing with a Psychic if need be. it's a really good late game cleaner. I feel like with Deoxys, this is the thing. Like everyone's expecting it to be, oh, you know, this big fat wall that people aren't going to be able to break, and like to an extent it is, yeah. But this is more showing it in the offensive light that, you know, it is bulky, but at the same time the bulk can be turned into offense, and that's basically the plan with Deoxys this week, is taking the bulk that it has and you know, turning it into an offensive weapon, I suppose, is the plan there. So that's the team. It's honestly very, very straightforward. I feel what I'm going to do now is just jump into the battle. Alright guys, so here we are with the battle. He basically brought mostly the exact team I was expecting. Wasn't too sure if he'd bring T-Flame or the Nidoqueen. I felt both were good. I thought Nidoqueen might be better, but you know what, T-Flame's fine. Didn't bring Aloe, was kind of expected. Brought the Miltank. I saw in a mock against Gypsy that, you know, Scrappy Miltank, if it has like Power Up Punch into Facade, is a really nice Sableye check, but luckily I'm packing the Foul Play, so that should kind of mitigate that a bit. And what I was just seeing a lot of was not a lot of Florges checks. His only resist is T-Flame, so that was, pardon me, really, really good to see. Deoxys also looked really strong. I felt that if I could get rid of the Weavile early doors or try and weaken it to some extent, then I had a really good chance of winning with that. Heatran also looked really scary for his team, depending on if it's a thick fat Miltank, but I kind of figured it'd be Scrappy. So I was feeling real good about this matchup. So heading into it, like, he had a solid team. I felt like he, you know, wasn't bringing everything I expected, but it was exactly what I wanted in this matchup. So I led Floor just because I had literally nothing to lose from it. He does lead with Talonflame, which kind of sucks. It's the one mon that Floor just can't exactly deal with. And I was worried about him maybe going for a Taunt here or something else, and I just knew my safest swap, no matter what, was Heatran. Because if he goes for SD, and I double into Tran, then I can protect on the natural gift, and there's nothing else T-Flame can really do to hurt me, and I can just start firing off D-pulses if I need to. He actually does a double into Miltank, and I was a bit surprised. I was like, Miltank is the floor discounter? I was very, very confused as to why that happened. I guess he was maybe scouting to see if I had HP Rock, but I don't, which is good, because what it means is psychologically now he thinks that my floor just can't touch his Talonflame. Because if I could have, I would have just attacked at turn 1. So there's a bit of mind games already going on. He transiting against Miltank. Now what I'm worried about here is rocks. I don't really worry that much about rocks on my team right now, but at the same time, they'd be annoying to have up against me, and Miltank is the only stealth rock on his team. So I have a bit of speed on Heatran, I'm banking on not having any speed on Miltank, and I'm going to go for the taunt here. But he actually ends up doubling into T-Flame. This is really good information because it means he probably doesn't have Earthquake, which is good news for my Heatran. It means it could come in clutch a bit later on, and because the T-Flame's now taunted, it means it can only go for like a U-turn, a Brave Bird, a Flare Blitz, or a Natural Gift Ground, I'm feeling. So I feel very safe here, pulling a double into my Gliscor, and the reason being is because the only way that could have been a bad play is if he predicted Gliscor and went for like Flare Blitz and Burn me, but in the face of a Heatran, there's no reason to make that risk, so I get the free swap and the free Toxic Orb activation. He's going to U-turn here, which is interesting. He's going to go into his Miltank as I drop the EQ. I just wanted to kind of scout the damage, and that's about a max HP Miltank from the Gliscor investment I have, so I'm starting to think, okay, max HP, could be defensive, could be something else, but then I also remembered, oh, it's coming against Florges. So I'm thinking it's a Spadef Miltank, and that's making me feel like it could be a Curse Tank set, which is annoying, but at the same time this Gliscor is designed to take on Curse Tank because I have Swords Dance. So I'm going to SD up here, as he's going to drop a Frustration to scout damage, and as you see, it's doing nothing because he has no attack investment, basically. Now the issue here is that I'm in such a good position with Gliscor, and I would be in a ridiculously good position if I was running Knockoff instead of Facade. But you know what? It's okay, because if I had Knockoff right now, I would have clicked it, and Miss Madge would have come in and probably died, but since I don't have a way to hit Miss Magius, and he doesn't know that, but he goes into Miss Madge, I go for EQ, he has Levitate, so unfortunate. Now, I am forced to switch here, which is something he doesn't know. Like, at this point, he has no idea that I have no way to touch it. So, I'm just going to pull a double into Persian. Reason being is if he goes for a nasty plot, then obviously I can threaten it with Parting Shot or Foul Play. Even Snarl would be a really nice move actually to go for there, so I can eat up the Dazzling Gleam. So I'm just going to go hard into my Persian as he actually goes for the Never Ending Nightmare. I was a little bit worried it was going to be Twinkle Tackle and I just lose my Persian, but luckily that was not the case. Now, what's really good here too is that the electric trains ended. This was like, this sequence was like my wet dream. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I knew exactly how to play it, and it's one of those rare times where you orchestrate a plan before a battle happens, and it plays out exactly how you wanted it to. So I knew that looking at his team, his best switch in to this Alolan Persian was Coco. He could go Miltank, sure, but that's not his best switch in. Coco is by far the best switch in, gets his terrain back up, it's whatever. So I was like, okay, he's gonna go into Coco. Like, that's gonna happen. That's the thing, right? So, because of that, I choose this turn to click Parting Shot. As Coco comes in, I Parting Shot out. And this is ideal, because what this does, it gives me a free switch into Florges. This is ideal because I know he's not Z-move Coco, so even if he goes for Iron Head, it ain't doing shit. And the thing is, he has no reason to stay in with Coco. This is like a really good mon for him, breaks my team, and as we talked about, he has two potential switch-ins to my Florges. One is the Miltank, however, Miltank took the damage from EQ, which means it's not as reliable as Talonflame would be as a switch-in. So I predict that, and as he U-turns out to his Talonflame, I proceed to go for Nature Power and Oko! That Talonflame, get out of here. So mismatch comes. I was like so gassed. This game happened at like 6 in the morning for me, but I still like busted a nut when that worked. I was so psyched. So mismatch comes in. I've already seen that it has Shadow Ball, and that's about it. I'm assuming the Never Ending Nightmare is coming off of a Shadow Ball. Could be Hex. I mean, I feel like it was Shadow Ball from the damage it did to my Persian. But I'm bulky and have access to Synthesis, so he's going to sub, and I'm just going to drop a Moonblast here for free, because the crit didn't matter when it comes to fading it. He's going to sub again. I guess maybe he was doing this because he wanted to scout to see if I was maybe Specs, judging on the damage that I just did to his Talonflame. He thought, oh shit, maybe he's Specs. The second sub was a bit confusing. Then I thought to myself, and it seemed a bit silly at the time, but when it's 6 o'clock in the morning, you have to kind of cover all bases. Now that T-Flame was down, I realized I have a very free Moonblast spamming Mon on the field right now. And what occurred to me was that this Mismagius could just go for Destiny Bond. I know it's a bit far-fetched for it to be like sub Destiny Bond, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Lead, but that's a really nice set against my team. Subbed, you know, to get away from all the toxic and crap that my team can do, but then also D-Bond so he can, you know, kill something along the way. So I was a little bit apprehensive about that. I knew Moonblast could knock out his Mismagius from here, but if I lost Florges at this point, I would have been a bit annoyed because of how well it deals with the rest of his team. I wasn't about to risk that. So what I end up doing is I go hard into my Alolan Persian as he fires off the Nasty Claw. So I do this because, in my mind, I have no reason to risk anything at that point. Obviously he reveals Nasty Claw, which means he doesn't have Destiny Bond. He needs to have like Dazzling Gleam to be able to hit Sableye. Oh, sorry, not Sableye. He needs maybe like Dazzling Gleam or Hidden Power Fighting to hit Persian plus, you know, Chansey. So that covers that. He was sub probably for the Chansey, which makes sense. But I can ascertain that his last move is most likely like Dazzling Gleam. Something like that, I assume. So because of that, I know it's not going to be D-Bond, so Florges is a safe check for the future. Now I've got a tricky decision, because I either Parting Shot, assuming he's going to swap out to Coco again, and allow my Florges to like go in once again, like just click Moonblast or whatever the fuck I want, because when Coco comes back in on this turn, if it did, like the train's just worn off. So what I should have done probably is gone for another Parting Shot, knowing Coco was most likely going to come in. But what I do instead is, I believe I go for a Snarl. The reason was just because it was a +2 threat in my face. If I Parting Shot and let something take unnecessary damage, it'd be pretty stupid. So I just decided to go for Snarl. If I can knock that thing out, then, like I said, Gliscor's in a huge, it's in an immensely good position. So he goes out to Miltank. I get the very, very useful special attack drop, go hard Gliscor as he reveals Curse. So I'm thinking, okay, he's probably got Curse, Frustration, Milk Drink, and the last move I was like, Rocks? Maybe? Could be Stealth Rocks? I don't know. Like, I didn't know what his last move would be. I thought maybe it could be something for Heatran, so that's why I thought would be Earthquake, because that would make more sense. In my mindset, that's what I was thinking. So Gliscor's in now, and I know the problem is that the Mismatch is still in the back. I'm going to SD up as he's going to curse up again. So he's at +2, but I'm at +2. Now I'm going to go for the EQ this turn to weaken the mill tank, and he's going to reveal rest. Now I found this very, very interesting that he was bringing a rest mill tank on a Tapu Koko team. Because if you guys don't know, you can't actually put Pokemon to sleep in electric terrain. Now that also means you can't use rest in electric terrain. So I was very surprised that he revealed to be this kind of set. Now I didn't mind it too much though, because you know, like it means that he's probably rest, sleep talk, frustration, and sleep talk, frustration, and curse. Which means my Heatran kind of just walls the shit out of it, which is nice. He goes hard into Mismatch here as I go for another SD. Reason I did that was because if he decided to stay in for some reason and just try and, you know, go for another rest, it could have been nice. And also, with Mismatch coming in like this, what I want to kind of do is see what his last move is. Because if he feels like I'm going to go into my Persian again, because of the never-ending Nightmare damage, he knows Shadow Ball won't kill. So I kind of want to bait him here to go for the Dazzling Gleam, so I go hard into Florges. But no, he just goes for a sub. And I was like, okay, fair enough. And he reveals the Nasty Plot, and I just go for the Moonblast. Well, he already revealed Nasty Plot. So there's one more move that this Mismagius has, and I have no idea what it is, but I'm thinking because he needs a way to, you know, do damage to my Persian, other than trying to go for a Destiny Bond where he will never be faster than my Persian, I felt he would just, you know, have maybe Gleam. So I just take the Shadow Ball and knock him out with Moonblast. So I felt kind of stupid for this series of plays that happened, because if I had just not worried about the premise of D-Bond and just clicked Moonblast when he went for Nasty Plot ages ago, my floor just would have been at 92%. I would have knocked out this Mismagius with the Moonblast, and he didn't have a switch in. Like, Miltank was asleep, but I could just start firing off Moonblast. I could go back out to my Gliscor and just start setting up in its face, and like Gliscor just kind of goes in, barring the Weavile. And I've let my floor just get way too weak, which sucks because he's going to go into his Weavile now, and like, I want to preserve my Florges because of the fact that it is still so good against his team, but the reality is, if his Weavile gets off a Swords Dance, he can sweep my team, because, you know, obviously Sableye can maybe take the +2 Ice Wheel Crash, but if I get flinched, it sucks, and Foul Play might not kill. It does like 85% or so with a +2 Weavile, so I'm in a lot of trouble there. So what I have to do is prevent him from getting the free SD. I don't know if he's sashed or whatever. I have to Moonblast here and let Floor just go down, because in the long run it's the better play. And what ends up happening though is I get very lucky in that he misses his Crash. Now, granted, I don't think it mattered too much in the long term, because in the long term of things, right, I'm sacking my Florges to this Weavile, and it knocks me out. And then I'm going into my Sableye, getting off my Mega Evolution, probably going to drop a Rock Tomb if he goes into Koko. That's fine. Because I'm in a position where, unless he predicts me to go for SD and goes hard Weavile, Gliscor becomes a huge problem for him. Because if he's not Ice Beam Lardy, then I just get some pops off against Koko and Miltank. You know, I can just go for free Facades and just go ham against his team there. If Floor just goes down, it does suck, but it opens a lot of doors on my team. Like I said, Heatran's in a phenomenal position. Being as healthy as it is just so good. But unfortunately, hacks is the thing. I don't think it impacted the game too much. I felt that because Talonflame and Mismagius were already down, it was very much in my favor with what I had left, but it's just an extra incentive. So Koko comes in, I'm just going to go hard into my Gliscor. He goes to T-Bolt, and I'm starting to think he's a choice item, and I'm trying to think, like, what choice item would he be, and I genuinely thought he was Scarf. Just judging on the way he was playing it, I thought maybe he brought Scarf Koko to kind of work around, like, a Scarf Alolan Persian, and I was like, is this guy Jesus or whatever? But it turns out he was actually a Specs Koko. So he was Specs with U-Turn, Thunderbolt, and I was like, he must have HBIs, but he just never clicked it. So Gliscor gets a free SD against Koko as he goes into Latias, and I click EQ like a dummy, because at this point, I was sitting there like, okay, he's probably going to go for HBIs this time around, because he needs Lardy healthy, because I have 2 Dark types still around. He might want to try and just knock out this Gliscor, expecting me to want to go for the SD, because I've done that a few times before, but no. He does hard swaps, which sucks. I can go for an SD now, which is cool, but he goes for Carmine, and I'm a little bit concerned. But I know that if it's not Ice Beam, he can't knock me out with anything, so I'm feeling pretty safe. As he goes for D-Pulse, it does 70%. So that tells me that he is like a classic max HP Latias with, you know, enough speed investment for a lot of my other threats, or maybe Como, stuff like that. So I kind of knew the set pretty well, and I saw how much the damage was doing, and what I make a bit of a bad play on this turn. Realistically, at this point of the game, because his Coco is, well, I don't know that it's a choice item. I get the feeling at this point that it's a choice item, but because of that, it was a hard choice. I chose to preserve Glitchxcity because in the long run, I wanted it to still be alive so that Coco couldn't just Thunderbolt spam me. Because I knew that Glitchxcity could 1v1 Coco plus Miltank. And what I thought he would do here was go for the Dragon move. Judging on the fact that, like I said, Glitchxcity ruins the rest of his team, I figured what he would do this turn is try to take out the threat. So I go hard Florges on this turn, trying to take the Dragon Pulse and, you know, force the move, but he goes to Roost. And what I choose to do now, though, is he went out to Miltank, which is surprising, as I go out to Alolan Persian, and I see my opportunity. I'm a parting shot, and it's time. Deoxys is in, because I kind of understand why he went out to Miltank, because he was maybe fearing something. But what it turns out, guys, is that he actually had no way to touch my Florges. He was Carmine, Roost, Dragon Pulse, Reflect type for my Heatran, but that meant that he had no way to touch my Florges. So that Icicle Crash did kind of come in clutch there in forcing the switch. What I would have had to have done on that turn instead was probably gone out to my Sableye and sacked it. If Florges had died, I probably would have sacked off my Sableye to allow the free switch into Persian on that turn, or just going out to Sableye and pressured it regardless. It would have been a little bit trickier on that turn, I feel, which is why it was so important that I shouldn't have let Florges, take all that damage from Mismatch unnecessarily, because it almost bit me in the butt. But I had like enough contingencies to where it wouldn't have mattered, I don't think. But now Deoxys is in, and he can switch if he wants to, but I honestly just clicked the Carmine button from here on out, and this sequence is going to take a while because he's going to go out to Coco. I'm going to Carmine up, and it turns out this is what stopped me. He had Taunt. So he was a choice spec set with Taunt and U-turn. I just drop a Signal Beam for free because I know Lardy's coming in, and he goes back out to Coco. I just go for another Signal Beam because I lose literally nothing by it. My Taunt ends. I think I choose to just drop a Psychic this turn because I figured, oh, he's probably just going to taunt me again, so it's whatever. He doesn't, and I'm like, okay, well, you want to play this game, we're playing this game. So, I was completely fine with us doing this because, like I said, in the team builder, I have pressure, which means that he's going to need a crit in order to win this game, and as it turns out, because he only has Dragon Pulse as an attacking move, this is going to end up being his undoing because, in this scenario, all I have to do is wear Latias out. Latias normally has 16 Dragon Pulses, but against me, Latias has 8, I think. 8 Dragon Pulses because of pressure. Every time he attacks with an attacking move, it's 2 of them. So as you can see, Dragon Pulse doing 31% when we're both at max, but that is recoverable. That is incredibly recoverable. Deoxys does not give a single shit. So he's used 2 of his 8 that he can use already. And that's going to be the big factor, is just trying to wear this Latias down to... his only hope here to win is to crit me. But, I mean, even if he did crit me, I have Foul Play on Persian, which basically... I was doing the math, and Foul Play from Persian does around, I think it was 45 to 50, and then, you know, other things could happen. It was just... the fact that he only had the, he only had Dragon Pulse also meant that I could just go into Florges after this too. So I figured, I didn't know his last move, but I figured I'd run him out of Dragon Pulses and see what he does. Because then if he reveals a Reflect type, I know that even if Deoxys gets crit by a Dragon Pulse, I can just go into Florges and get a Synthesis off, and if Florges synthesises, then he has Latias, can't touch me. I can just warp Coco, and, you know, Miltank's screwed as well. So at this point, it's kind of GG. All I really needed was that free turn to get into Deoxys and get up the Carmine. After one Carmine, I was walling Coco as well, so it is what it is. This is going to be just a little bit of a long, drawn-out thing. It's basically just me wearing him out of his Dragon Pulses and also just trying to maybe get Spadef drops and just do some cheeky shit. And at this point, what I'm just going to do now is just get the crit and knock him out, and that's going to be the game. Deoxys is going to clean this shit up because, I mean, I feel bad for the hacks, but I also feel like, you know, it didn't matter because even if Floor just went down, theoretically, then obviously it meant that his Latias had a big chance of winning. But as you just saw, like, all I really needed was that one turn. He only just really needed that one turn to, words are hard. I only really needed that one turn to calm mind up. And then he didn't really have a way to break it anymore. If the Weavile was still around, I did pack a Colberberry just in case. So that if the Weavile was chipped down by something else, then Deoxys could just pick it off. And if it went for, you know, the knockoff, I could just take it easily, knock him out. And there's not much else. The only chance he had was maybe like a crit knockoff into the Specs Thunderbolt, potentially, but I could just recover all the Thunderbolts until the electric terrain wears off, and then he's back to square one. So, GG to Andrew. I felt bad that it was a 6-0 in the end. I feel like he deserved a 5-0. I think I had the game on lock by the time Mismatch went down. Just the fact that he didn't really bring any big checks to Deoxys on his team, like, you know, that was the hard part for him, was that in a way Scizor was a check, to this set at least, but in general it was just made things a little bit more disruptive. But at the same time, you know, how do you prepare for that? How do you prepare for offensive Deoxys? Well, I say offensive, it had no investment in offense, but it was a more offensively minded set, and pressure just came in super clutch because Latias just wore out its Dragon Pulses. And, you know, I feel like I was a bit fortunate in this game, but at the same time, like, I could have played it so many different ways. If I really wanted to against the Latias, I could have gone Sableye after Weavile had died. Not sure, after Weavile was in, I could have gone for Toxic either onto the Coco or onto like the Latias. And if Sableye was able to poison the Latias, then there wouldn't have been a 1v1 against Deoxys. It would have just been GG from there because Deoxys just wins again. So I feel like I had the game on lock. It was just more how much I won by in the end, and I ended up winning 6-0. So really good start for us. I feel very happy with the prep and how the team performed. Massive thanks to, you know, Gypsy and Bird for giving me some help with that. And yeah, we start our season off 1-0 with a +6 differential, so a wicked start. Next week we have Fallop and the Eidenhoven Drapions. I do remember his team name from the CPC. So that's going to be a really good game. Fallop and I, we've had a couple of encounters before. Very good friends, so it should be a really great match. I'm very much looking forward to it. Hopefully we can pull out a W. This was a really good week, I think, as well, to exhibit that although my team seems very stally on paper, as you saw in the roster and the team builder, it has the capacity to be incredibly offensive and very frustrating. And my opponents, if they're consistently just going to try and bring like things that break stall, then I'm just going to whop them with my team design. So I think the way that I drafted and the way that I battle are two very different things, and they're going to need to realize that sooner rather than later, or else they're getting smashed. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, you know, like the video, subscribe, all that good shit. I'll catch you next week, and I will have hopefully some more uploads that coming up. I will be in another league soon. It feels good to be back on YouTube, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.